What is up, everybody? I am Rich.
And I'm Tiffany.
And this is How's My Living? We did it good that time. Alright guys, the first thing I want to say is we love Disney. We love Universal. SeaWorld's okay. But we do love our parks down here. So this is definitely not some big rant on why you should stay away.
Run away.
If anything, we're encouraging people to come, but we want people to come with a full idea of what it's going to be. We're going to give you five things that you need to take into consideration before you start making plans, because you're probably spending upwards to $3,000-$4,000, maybe $5,000 coming down here with your family. And we want to make sure that you guys know exactly what you're getting into, because there's a lot of things that are big changes that you see all over, but there's a lot of subtle changes that could make your trip miserable. So we want to get into it, so let's jump in. Hit that like button, because we are here trying to help you, so you can help us by liking the like button. And if you don't like the video, hit the like button as hard as you can. Your phone or your computer will break and you'll never have to watch us again. It's a win-win, baby. Number one is getting here. So you have two options to get here. You have driving or you have an airplane. Both have their ups and downs. It's like the elevator business. Airplanes, you're going to be in a crowded airport around the holidays. You're going to be around a lot of people. And the one thing that you've probably learned in your hometown is not everybody thinks like you do with this virus.
Not at all.
Everybody has their own way of dealing with this, but you're going to be trapped in a plane with somebody, or you're going to be trapped in an airport with a bunch of people who all have different views of how to handle this. If you're driving, unless you're in a driving proximity, one day away, a day's drive, you're probably going to be staying at another type of hotel that's not going to be a Disney resort. And I know Disney resorts and the Universal resorts are going crazy with their cleaning, but just because they are doesn't mean the Holiday Inn Express is on your way down in Richmond, Virginia.
And also, the rules are kind of different state by state. So some states may be taking it more serious than others, and if you're crossing state lines.
Yeah, it's something, the destination, a lot of people consider the destination, but there's you guys have to take into consideration the actual travel as well. All right, so that is number one. Number two, all right, number two is ticketing and reservations, right? So reservations, ticketing, you're definitely going to have to pick and choose what day you want to go to the park, when you want to go to the park. You guys probably already know this. This has been big news that you actually have to reserve to go to the parks. But there's something that you probably don't know, and I didn't know it until recently, because we live down here, so if we want to go, we just make reservations. But for the hotels, a lot of people's been having issues with hotels. They might want to stay at Pop Century Resort, but something will happen because they have to control crowd levels, that they'll get moved to Arts and Animation. So you can't have all your plans written in stone on this. It's not going to be exactly how you want it, because they're trying to be convenient to everybody. And if you ever had to deal with overbooking or double booking or anything with a hotel, this is going to be pretty common now. We're a part of a few Facebook groups, and that seems like it's happening a lot.
Yeah.
Like your whole entire trip is going to be switched. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is the reservations for the park is technically not controlling the actual numbers of the park. Number three is crowds. Just because you see reservations when you're getting those tickets doesn't mean that you're going to walk into an empty park. Last week, one of our friends, they went to Universal Studios and the park was almost at capacity. And you got to keep in mind that when you're in a park like that, not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody's considerate like you. When we went to SeaWorld, when we booked our reservations for SeaWorld, everybody was very, very, very packed in.
Okay, so on today's episode of Can I Get Some Personal Space?
We was under the impression that if we was making reservations that, we wasn't going to be able to get into or we was going to be walking pretty free into the park. But
even when we got there, it still said reservations was available, giving us the impression there wasn't many people there.
And we was wrong. There was so many people. So it made us wonder, is some of these parks doing reservations just to make the customer feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
And it's not really for safety measures. Now, what you got to understand about crowd levels is you're going to say, okay, but they're still practicing social distancing. These theme parks only have so many employees. So, and they have upwards of maybe, 100,000 guests in a day, 50,000 guests. I don't know. It's a large number. But either which way, they do not have enough people. When we was there, they had one group of people that held a sign that said 6 feet apart, and the lady was just screaming, keep your mask on. Now, was they truly going in and enforcing that? No. Disney has been doing better. I don't know about Universal. I know SeaWorld has been doing terrible for it. To be honest with you guys, if you guys are on the fence with it, I would say give Disney a try. But if SeaWorld's on your option, I'd probably take a pass on SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Because I know Disney is doing virtual lines.
And that was a big problem in SeaWorld. When you got in line for anything, everybody was extremely close together to the point that you were even bumping into each other and touching people.
There was a lady that was behind us, and she kept bumping up against us, but she was complaining about the people behind her, how they was right up to her.
And let me tell you, I care about my personal space. Whoa, hey, who's around me right now?
So those are kind of the people that you're going to be dealing with. So it's not going to be, these theme parks can only do so much.
Yeah.
And you seriously have to take that into consideration. I do want to talk about the masks. They are frustrating.
Very.
That is very, very frustrating. And if you have kids, normally when you go to a theme park, kids start getting restless about 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Even if it is Disney, they start getting restless. They want to go home. They want to lay down. There's nowhere to sit. And I think there's a conspiracy theory that they have taken some of the benches out of the theme parks, because when we went to SeaWorld, there was nowhere to sit down.
Nowhere. We didn't sit down once.
There was seating for, eating and stuff, but it seemed like they took out some of the benches. But, it's crazy because, you have all this money invested, and you're like, at first you're like, we're going to Disney, it's excited. And then, you're there and you went, 2 days and you have all your money invested and you can tell your kids are starting to lose it. And then all of a sudden it's like,
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
that's too damn bad! Because we're here at Disney for 3 more days. That's pretty much what it is. But the mask is going to make them a little bit more uncomfortable faster.
The other thing about wearing the masks is because everybody has been wearing masks for months now, but you have to realize you're coming down to Florida. It's very hot, very humid here. So wearing a mask, being outside all day, walking in the park, gets you a lot faster than maybe just going in and out of a couple grocery stores or doing stuff like that.
Some days you feel good, and it's okay, but other days it feels like you're being waterboarded.
Yeah.
Number 4 is experience versus price. So none of the prices has changed in Disney. They're still high, and they're probably not going to go down. They're probably going to get higher.
Yeah.
But the experience level, which you can do in Disney, first of all, it was already pretty low to begin with because they was going through their construction for their, I think it was their 50th birthday. Mm-hmm. So they was already going through construction on that. So a lot of places was closed down in Epcot. And, I know that a couple of new rides is open in Hollywood Studios, but, Disney's pretty closed down. But Universal, all its prices are the same. But there's not as many places to eat. You cannot have no contact with any of the characters.
Especially when you have young kids, Like when we took him to SeaWorld to see Elmo, he put his hands out. He wanted Elmo to hold him, and Elmo had to stay, behind the blocks and social distance. So there's no visiting with characters. They will let you take a picture, but it's from a distance.
So the whole idea is like if you're taking your, family member down there to get a picture with Mickey Mouse or for them to meet Mickey Mouse for the first time, that's probably not going to happen. But you've paid all this money to come down here and you're not going to get the experience. And why we're saying this is not something that you should keep you from coming down here is for number one, we don't know that when this is going to stop.
No.
You know what I mean? We don't know. This might be the same for the next couple of years. It might be the same for the next 6 months, but we don't know when it's going to stop. But you are definitely not, at this point in time, you're going to have to come to the conclusion that you're not going to get your money's worth in Disney like you would the previous years. Number 5. What happens when you leave? You guys are coming into Orlando. You've went to hotels, airports, whatever. Now you've came to Disney. You've been around tons of people all day. Now you're going back to your family. And especially during these holidays, you're probably not just going to go back to your family, chill out, and see how you feel for a couple days. You're going to go right there with them. You're probably going to want to stay away from your grandparents for a little bit until you see how you are with, from all your places. And you're not blaming it on Disney. You're not blaming it on Universal or SeaWorld. It's accumulation of all the places that you've been on the way there and on the way back. That's something to think about before you buy your ticket. Not only are you going to have to worry about what happens when you get there, what you do when you get there, but also what's going to happen when you get back. Now, I like to consider ourselves moderate with this. We have had family that's gotten sick. We've even had family that's passed away from the coronavirus. But we still consider ourselves moderate because it seemed like it did stay in the perimeters of what the government was saying.
Yeah.
But the elderly was what they were saying. We're normally a fun, happy-go-lucky, type people, but, that is something to keep into consideration when you come back home. All that being said, let's give a few tips on how you can have a better stay at Disney World and make it magic, or Universal, or SeaWorld. Number 1 is if you are going to plan your trip down here, make sure your trip starts on a Monday and at least ends on a Thursday. So the weekdays have been a lot lower in numbers.
Yes.
A lot lower in numbers. So if you're going to go, it seems like it's been pretty extreme in the differences. So Monday through Thursday has been pretty low, and then the weekend comes in. And what you got to keep in mind for that is a lot of Floridians have annual passes, and they're going to be the majority of the ones going to the parks right now. So if you go while they're at work, you're going to have a better time, and it's going to be a lot easier on you and your family. Number 2, do not Disney dine every day. Don't dine at the theme parks every night. Okay, Disney dining is very popular. Universal Studios dining is popular. SeaWorld, you can eat at that aquarium while Shamu swims by. Don't do that every night. Those places are going to be very packed. Disney Springs is going to be very packed. When you decide to go, maybe take a night and go somewhere more into Orlando. Maybe somewhere, find a smaller place to eat. That way you're breaking yourself off from the crowds a little bit. Find you something quiet. Maybe order some food into the hotel. If you gotta, if you're at Fort Wilderness, maybe grill out or something like that. The last tip, and this one's probably the most important, right, is practice with your kids safe distancing. Because there's a good chance that your kid's gonna have more common sense than about a 40-year-old man or woman there at that park if you teach them right.
Yeah.
And you need to explain to them that, you can't have a herd mentality in Orlando. Okay, just because the kids and the mom over there is doing it doesn't mean you can do it. Teach them that there's a right and a wrong way to do things, and have them wear their mask. Start training them to wear their mask during the day. Because whether you believe in the mask or if you don't believe in the mask, if you want to go to Disney,
You gotta wear the mask.
you got to wear the mask.
Remind your kids and get them in the habit of using the hand sanitizer. It's a good habit for the kids to have, especially going in the parks, because everyone touches everything in the parks. The rails, the handles, the rides.
If you're coming down to Florida on vacation, maybe take a break from the parks and maybe do something smaller. There's tons of smaller stuff that's a little bit more, less of a crowd, that's just as fun.
Yeah.
And it's maybe change up the experience a little bit. Like we got a video on Wild Florida. I'll put the link right here for it. And you guys can check that out. But there's tons of stuff for you guys to do outside of it. So it'd be cool just to take a break. You know, you don't have to have your heart set on Disney the whole time. And it'd be nice that there's some places that you can go that's a little bit more lax. Not lax on social distancing and stuff, but you're gonna feel more comfortable when there's not 500 people over top of you and you're sitting there saying, well, maybe I can take my mask off just for a second. Like and subscribe to this video. We could have just saved you $5,000.
Yeah.
We could have just saved you $10,000. I mean, if it was just you going and you didn't weigh these options, we saved you $100. That deserves a like. Maybe subscribe. So, I appreciate it, guys. That being said, I'm Rich,
And I'm Tiffany.
and this is How's My Living?